Hi, I'm Justine. Welcome to my Lightlark video. Obligatory Lightlark video. You girls out here with the receipts? I wrote like 5 pages of notes. If you don't know the background on why everyone's talking about this book, or maybe you don't even know that everyone's talking about this book, everyone's talking about this book. Here's why. Alex Aster is the author. I don't know if I'm saying her name right, but Alex Aster got really popular on TikTok after posting I think a lot of those book aesthetic things where you flash a lot of pictures on the screen for a TikTok video, and she's like, would you read this book? And turns out yes, a lot of people would read this book. So she gained a really large following, and then she published her book, and it got a ton of people bought it, it was super popular because of her TikTok fame. And people are like, oh, is it actually good, or is it just the hype? So spoiler alert, I don't think this book is actually good. But I also don't want to just be one of those people being like, oh, Alex Aster is bad, she doesn't deserve her fame or whatever, because I have a lot of respect for Alex Aster. She did what I think a lot of people want to do, publish a book. And even if not everyone likes your book, it's published. It doesn't really matter. If you're Alex Aster watching this, and you probably are not because I have 10 people who watch my videos, don't keep watching. You know what I mean? I don't want to be mean to you. I am going to be mean to your book, but I don't think there's anything in your book that says anything negatively about your character, So I have a lot of respect for you. I think it's cool that you published a book, and I think it's cool that you got so much support for it. So this video is in no way me trying to be mean to Alex Aster, because I wouldn't want to do that because I like her. Okay, moving on. I'm gonna summarize the book kind of, but this is gonna be very long because there's a lot to talk about. This is a very complicated book. So basically the premise of this book is that it's a fantastical world where there are 6 realms who are all on this island, Lightlark, hence the name of the book. So I'm going to introduce all the 6 realms. Okay, there's 6 doesn't sound like that much, but it's kind of a lot. So the first realm we're going to talk about is the Wildling realm. Wildling, all the islands are all the realms are ling ending. Okay, so the Wildling realm is the nature realm. They have all the animals and the plants or whatever. It's really colorful. It's nature, and all the wildlings who live on the Wildling realm can talk to plants and animals, They're nature people. That makes sense, right? And then the Sunling realm, sorry, I have to keep repeating it because I don't like the names of these realms. I really hate to say it, but it just feels kind of stupid to me. Okay, so the Sunling realm, the Sunling realm, yeah. The sun people, if you don't get the pattern yet. I'm pretty sure they can control light. I don't really remember. I know that sounds awful. So they can do something, okay? They have powers, they have abilities. So the next realm, the Skyling realm, they're the sky people. Shocking. So they can fly and control air. They're basically airbenders. Next realm, the Starling realm, they're the star people. They can make fireworks, ? Yeah, they do fireworks. And maybe telekinesis? I'm confused. A Starling uses telekinesis at some point, and I was confused about that, but basically these people have powers. So the next realm, the Moonling realm, they're the moon people. They control water because moon and the tides or whatever. I don't know why they're not the waterlings, but they basically have nothing to do with the moon, I'm gonna be honest with you. So they do water stuff. Next realm, this is the last realm, and there's a quirky realm. You can tell because they're called Nightshade, not Nightling, but they're the night people. And they can teleport, yeah. And they can teleport / read minds / do all the things that one could possibly want to do. Basically, the Nightshades are super OP. Those are all the realms. Yay. Now we're gonna introduce what's going on. So every some how many years, they have like an event called like the Centennial, and it's a 100-day event. That's why it's called the Centennial, where they get all the rulers from all the realms to come together and live in a castle together, and they gotta do stuff. Honestly, it's unclear what you have to do in the Centennial, which sounds really bad, but everyone was marketing this as like the Hunger Games. They're like, the Centennial is like the Hunger Games because one ruler has to die during the Centennial. And you're like, okay, wow, that is like the Hunger Games. But it's like, no, it's not really like the Hunger Games because for like the majority of the time, you aren't allowed to kill anyone. You just kind of sit there in the castle and do things that don't involve killing other people. So that's confusing. And then you had to partner up after that. It's weird. So it's an event. We'll call it an event. It's just an event. It's an 100-day event where they get all the rulers to go live in a castle together, okay? So why do they have to do this event? Okay, so at some point a while ago, all the realms were cursed. And these are very sad curses, depending on what realm you live in. So I'm going to introduce all the curses. So the wildlings, they're cursed to... First of all, the wildlings are really hot. They're really attractive. So they're cursed to, like, kill the person they fall in love with. So yeah. And now there are mostly women. And I don't really remember why, but it has something to do with their curse. So they have to do that, and they also can only eat human hearts, which is weird and unrelated, but like, it's cool, whatever. The sunlings, they can't go out during the day, which sucks because they're the sun people, right? And that's like the source of their powers, so I guess their powers are like weaker now. I don't really, I can't remember. Okay, the skylings, the skyling curse is really stupid. The skylings can no longer fly, so they're still airbenders, they can still bend air, they just can't fly anymore. And everything else is fine with them, but they're like sad about it. And the starlings, they have the most unfortunate curse in my opinion. They all have to die at the age 25. So every starling only gets 25 years to live, which really, really sucks. And the moonlings, they also have a stupid curse. They like can't be near the ocean during a full moon, cause like they'll get like washed out to sea. Like, I guess, yeah. So that's also a stupid curse. Like, just don't be near the ocean during a full moon. That's like once a month. The nightshades, their curse is that they can't be out during the night. Get how that works? The sunlings, the nightshades. So yeah, those are the curses. And you're like, Justine, those curses sound stupid. And you're like, you'd be correct. The curses are kind of stupid. I kind of wish all the curses were just like the same thing, you know? Like, maybe that's boring of me, but I feel like it just feels weird that we're supposed to think of these curses as awful for everybody when the skylings and moonlings obviously don't have it as bad. Like, I'm sure the skylings would love to fly, but like, me too. You know, and I don't consider myself cursed. I don't know, it's stupid. Like, I don't know why the skylings would even go to the Centennial, you know? Like, why risk the life of your ruler because you want to fly? Like, it's weird. And the moonlings too, like, I get that water and the moon is important to them, but like, I mean, like, it's fine. Deal with it. That sounds really bad, but like, just don't be near the water during a full moon. Am I stupid? Like, now let's introduce the characters, who are all the rulers of the 6 realms going to the Centennial. Sorry, there's a lot of introductions right now, but our main girl, Isla, I'm gonna call her Isla because it's spelled I-S-L-A, which is like the word Isle, so like we'll just call her Isla, but like I don't know if that's right. I hope it's not Isla. Isla is a wildling. She is the only character, well she's the only character with the last name. Her name's Isla Crown. I don't know what Isla is the only character with the last name, but that's kind of weird. So Isla Crown is the wildling ruler, and she's like pretty young, I think. I mean, it seems like she's pretty young. I'd say like 18, early 20s. I don't know. So, and she has like a secret. Her big secret is that she doesn't actually have any powers, and she also doesn't have the curse. So she doesn't eat hearts. She doesn't have to kill her lover, but like also she can't control plants or animals, or all the wildling things, but she's still super hot, and she can also sing really well, which I thought was part of like the powers that they got, but I guess not, because like she sings a lot and she's like really good at it, so it's like whatever. That's our main girl, and she needs to go to the Centennial to like serve her people, right? So next person, Oro. Oro is the king of the Sunlings and therefore the king of Lightlark for some reason. So he's old. Oro's old, right? Yeah, Oro's really old. But they're like immortal, so he looks like early 20s, mid 20s. Unlike our girl Isla, if you're a ruler and you actually have powers, then you also get a flare, which is like an extra power. So I guess, is Oro's extra power that he can like turn things gold? I guess, I think so. His secret, because everyone has a big secret here, Oro's big secret is that he's like dying for some reason. He's just dying. And when he dies, the island's gonna die. So he needs to go figure that out. Next character is Azul, blue in Spanish. He's the Skyling King. He's also kind of old, I think, but he's like immortal, so he also looks pretty young. Azul is the most irrelevant character in the entire story, so I'm not even going to waste my time talking about him, but he basically doesn't get any more speaking parts after, like, the middle of the book, and it's not because he dies. I think Alex Aster just, like, forgot that he was a character. But Azul's big secret? I don't know, it's like his big thing is that his husband died and he's sad about it. And I'm like, okay, look. I feel bad for you, but also, like, this doesn't matter to me. Okay, next character is Celeste. She is the Starling Queen, and she's also really young because they died at 25, right? So she's, like, under 25. She's, like, probably, like, 18. So, Celeste, I don't remember her flare. Honestly, they should have written this down somewhere because there's so many characters and so many things to remember about them. And honestly, I don't even think they introduced the flare of any of the characters except for Isla, Oro, and other guy who I'll introduce later. So I don't know Celeste's flare, but she's like the queen of the Starlings, and she's pretty relevant, yeah. And her big thing is that she's friends with Isla. Celeste and Isla have been friends for like a really long time actually, because Isla, I don't know, she like teleports over to Celeste and they can hang out. Isla and Celeste actually have like a whole plan together, which I'll introduce later, I think. Yeah. Next person is Cleo. She's the queen of the Moonlings. I don't know Cleo's flare because Cleo is like the second most irrelevant character in this entire book. She doesn't do that much, honestly. I don't think she's that important. So we're gonna, yeah. Alright, so next person, he's pretty important. Grim, full name Grimshaw. I don't know what that means. Okay, so Grim, if you can tell by his name, is the king of the Nightshades. He's also pretty old, but he's immortal, so I should stop saying that. But, like, it disturbs me how old these people are. So, he's also pretty old, but he's, like, he looks probably, like, 25 or something. His flair is that, what is his flair? I don't know, but basically Grimshaw's, like, the most OP character here, because Nightshades get, like, so much power. He can, like, read minds, take away memories, teleport for some reason, like be invisible. He can do basically anything you want him to, so that's kind of OP. So now we've introduced all the characters. Now they all go to the castle together, and Isla has a goal. Here's Isla's goal in the beginning of the book. She and Celeste, right, their plan. They have been friends for a while because Isla has a teleportation stick. The book starts out with her using her star stick, her teleportation stick, to teleport back into her room. And it's implied that she had been meeting with her bestie, Celeste, who she teleports to like nightly for some reason. So she meets with her bestie, Celeste, and basically her and Celeste's plan is that they're going to find the bond breaker, which is like a stick thing. And lots of sticks in this book. They know it's in a library. But there are 6 libraries for the 6 realms, and they gotta go access these libraries. And that's kind of difficult, because they're, like, well guarded. So, basically, their whole goal for the Centennial is that they work together, and they go find this bond breaker, and then they break all the curses, and no one has to die or something. So they're like, okay, slay, let's do that. So, Isla has to conceal her powers, though, because she doesn't want to become a target and get killed, because she is technically, like, the weakest ruler without a power. But Isla, because she's a YA main character, is is super well trained in like the art of fighting people. She can sword fight, she can like, I don't know, she probably does like some Black Widow moves, you know? She's your very basic strong female character. Isla arrives to the castle, they all get their own room in the castle, and it's very drawn out, and she immediately has a connection with Grimm, the shadow dude who's OP. So, so you're like, oh, okay, so they're love interests. And Isla goes and they just have dinner together, I guess. Like, a huge part of the Centennial is them just like eating together. And we see that Isla has to conceal that she can't actually eat human hearts. Like, she doesn't have to eat them, so she's just like eating it awkwardly, like, guys, I'm eating human heart, but like she can't actually, so it's really gross for her. So, but by the way, Isla faking eating human hearts is literally the most unethical thing about this entire book. These people are killing people to get human hearts for Isla to eat, and she just throws them away. She doesn't even have to eat them. Like, she literally said, like, weekly, maybe not, I don't remember, yeah, I think it's like every week they have to eat a human heart. Like, weekly, they're sending a human heart up to her. Meaning that during the Centennial, Isla was, like, kind of responsible for the deaths of, like, how many people? I can't do math. Of like 15 people. Yeah, they killed like 15 people for Isla to eat their hearts. Isla has to fake eating human hearts, right? And immediately Cleo, the Moonling ruler, doesn't like Isla. Because. So, basically the first part of the Centennial, they do this thing where everyone has to have like a trial. Everyone like hosts a trial where they have all the other rulers do something to prove their worth or something. It's like the beginning of the Hunger Games when they're like when they're doing all those displays for the capital people to get like sponsors, right? It's like that, except for like not as cool. So first trial, this made me mad. Okay, so Isla and Grimm immediately have a connection, so they are hanging out, right? And Grimm tells Isla that he's hosting the first trial and that his first trial is going to be a sword fight because he's a basic bitch. So Isla's ready, and Isla's like, damn, I'm good at sword fighting. I'm a strong female main character. So they like show up at the sword fighting arena, and Grimm like pairs them off randomly. Isla originally goes against, who does she go against? Like Cleo or something? She beats Cleo's ass, I don't know. And then, and I'm like, okay, it's reasonable for Isla to be the best female fighter. I'm kind of nitpicky with this stuff, but like, I don't like it when they make female characters be physically stronger than like really buff male characters. You know what I mean? Like, it's just completely unrealistic, and I don't think it's like, it gives the effect that they want. They want to be like, oh, women are strong. Look, she beat up this guy. But I'm like, realistically, that wouldn't happen. Like, the physical differences between men and women are too great, especially when you're like a small, kind of like petite, skinny girl that Isla is. She's probably like 5'3". That's how I imagined her, like 5'3" and skinny, like really skinny, because she's like really hot, right? And Oro, who she goes against in the end in the sword fight, she keeps saying how tall Oro and Grimm are. So Oro, I guessed, was probably like 6'1". So Oro is like almost an entire foot taller than Isla and buff. He is built. She says this later. She's like, he is built. He is so jacked. So you're like, okay, there is no way that Isla can beat Oro. Especially since Oro, on top of being absolutely jacked, is like also a sword fighter. So they're both really into sword fighting, except for Oro has like 100 pounds and an entire foot on her. So they're like going against each other, right? And they're like fighting. And Isla is besting Oro. She's like better than him. She's a better sword fighter than this guy. And like, technically, I can understand if she just has better technique, but she's like meeting him stroke for stroke, pushing him back. And I'm like, how is this possible? Like, have you ever tried to like arm wrestle a dude? It's not cute. Even if you work out, it's like, it's just, I don't know. I just think it's completely unrealistic, and it wasn't like a powerful moment for me as a woman, a scrawny 5'3" woman like Isla probably is, like, because I'm like, no, I couldn't do that even if I was good at sword fighting, you know? So like at the end, because she doesn't want to draw attention to herself, and she and Celeste have the plan where they want to partner up, she like gives in and lets Oro win. So Oro's like, but Oro knows obviously because he's not stupid. So he's like, okay, that was weird. Oro wins the first competition. I don't remember what this means, but it's like, I think you like do the trials, and as you win points, when you're the winner of the trials, yes, when you're the winner of all the trials, you get to pick the partners. You get to set the partnerships later on when the killing is legal. So Oro wins this one, and Isla's like, okay, slay. That's fine, you know? And then Celeste is mad at her because she drew too much attention to them, whatever. And, okay, so next trial, I think it's like, I forgot who did what trial. Some of these trials don't mean anything, so I'm just gonna ignore them for a bit. There's like this truth trial hosted by Oro, question mark? Was it Oro? Maybe it was Oro. But they're like doing this, they like drink a secret tea. And at the bottom of their teacup, it has their greatest secret. So obviously, Isla's greatest secret is that she doesn't have powers. So, and to win the trial, you just have to reveal your greatest secret. So obviously, nobody wants to reveal their greatest secret. They're all smashing their cups and shit. So, but at the end, Oro reveals his. It's that he's dying. Everyone's shocked. He's like, yeah, I'm dying. What the hell? And they're like, oh my god, what the hell is going to happen to Lightlark? He explains this later. Okay, next trial, I don't know if this is in chronological order. Celeste does one where they're like, look in the mirror, go face your greatest fear. And so everyone goes in the mirror, faces their greatest fear. Isla goes in the mirror, and her greatest fear is just like living alone in her room for the rest of her life. And she faces it, and she gets out of there, whatever, that doesn't really matter. Okay, and like as she's doing these trials, Isla's also secretly breaking into like every library from the other realms because she needs to like look for the bond breaker, and it's not in any of them. So next trial, the one she hosts is like you have to what do you have to do? Yeah, the one she hosts, it's like you have to like prove how like good at stuff your realm is, and like why your realm shouldn't be the one to die, because when the ruler dies at the end, their realm also all dies. So you have to be like, you have to pick wisely, because like sometimes the realms are like too important or whatever. So Isla is like, oh, let's prove how important our realms are, and Isla's like, mine has medicinal properties, we can like heal shit. She puts her entire arm in a fire. She just stands there with her arm in the fire because she can do that, because she's a strong female character. She feels no pain. So she takes her arm out of the fire, she puts like the potion on her arm, and it like heals up her skin. She's like, slay. And everyone else does their other stuff, whatever. They're all like decently like important to Lightlark. Except for Grim. Grim just doesn't say shit. He's like, he really half-asses it. And so Isla's like, oh, why can't we just kill off Grim? Like, she doesn't want to kill off Grim, but she's like, why can't we do that? And they're like, oh, Grim's really important. We don't know why. Next one, there's like one where they have to like show their powers or something. Side note, with their powers comes this thing where their blood like has the properties of their powers. So like if you're a Skyling and you like get a paper cut and your blood comes out, it starts floating. So your blood's just floating. If you're like a Sunling, your blood's just like glowing. If you're a Moonling, your blood freezes because they also have like because they're like waterbenders, right? If you're a Nightshade, your blood like, I forgot what happened to your blood. Like maybe it disappears or something. I don't remember. If you're like, and if you're a Wildling, your blood just like also comes with a flower, which is very convenient because that's like the easiest one to fake, right? Oh, if you're a Starling, your blood is like, has like fireworks. This is just so stupid and cheesy. I'm so sorry. It's just, oh my god, it's so hard to like read because you're like, why would the blood do that? We don't know. Like, maybe the blood comes in like different colors. Why would the blood float just because they have the ability to fly? Like, that makes zero sense. It's whatever. Yeah, so they do one where they make everyone show their powers, and Isla, because she has no power, she has to get around this. So she's like, she just throwing stars, and everyone's impressed, and they don't question why she didn't do a display of her powers like everyone else. Cleo does one that's like kind of confusing. It's like swimming. You have to swim in really cold water. I'm confused by it. Okay, so at the end, Oro wins the competition. And at this point, Isla only needs to get into one more library. She needs to get into the Sunling Library, and she is for sure certain that the Bond Breaker is in the Sunling Library because it's the last library, you know? Oro wins the things so he can choose the partnerships. Shocker, Oro chooses Isla to be his partner. And Isla's like, oh no, I was supposed to be Celeste's partner, you know? Who does everyone else partner up with? We don't know, because the chapter ends with Oro picking Isla as his partner, and honestly, the entire time I was looking, I was like, who's partnered up with who? I couldn't really tell, but based off context clues, I can guess that Grimm and Azul were partnered and Celeste and Cleo were partnered, okay? So, but it's weird that they never told us. It's like, I care about the other rulers, right? I'm supposed to care about them. So, Isla and Oro are partnered. And Isla's like, okay, you know what? This kind of sucks, but it's okay. I can use this opportunity to get into the Sunling Library. And Oro is like, okay, girl, the reason I chose you is because I need you to help me find the heart of Lightlark. And it's because Oro's dying, he needs the heart to keep the island alive or some shit. I kind of forgot. So they're looking for the heart, and he's like, okay, the reason I need you is because the heart is near certain plants, and you know plants, so tell me plant shit. And she's like, okay, I'll come help you look for the heart if you let me in the library. And he's like, okay, whatever. So they go. They look for the heart. It takes them oh my god, they're looking for this freaking heart for 75% of the book. So, hearts, whatever. Let's talk about the romances for a sec. So, Grimm and Isla obviously have a connection in the beginning. And by connection, I just mean that Grimm is weirdly into her, despite allegedly not knowing her before. So, he just flirting with her, kind of taking her out on dates or whatever, feeding her chocolate, it's whatever. You're like, okay, so it's Isla and Grimm. You know, I guess that kind of makes sense. Grimm's a bad boy, kind of, because he's a nightshade. But then, when she partners with Oro, honestly, okay, I think what we were supposed to think is that she had some connection with Oro, because in the beginning there's this weird scene where she's singing her beautiful singing voice, and Oro is listening, and he slow claps, and she's so shocked and surprised by his slow clap that she spins around really fast and falls over the balcony, and then Oro saves her from dying. So she's like, oh my god, why'd he do that, you know? Why didn't he just let me die? And I guess she never thinks that maybe Oro values the wildling realm. But she thinks that he has some hidden agenda. But okay, I guess it's supposed to be implied that Oro did that because he's in love with her. But Oro is the most bland character in this entire book, and there are a lot of bland characters, so this is saying something, but I can't name a single character trait of Oro. He's just really monotone the entire time. I don't know, I guess he's depressed because he's dying, but he's really in love with Isla for some reason. So now there's a love triangle. The blonde one and the one with the dark hair. I say that because they're basically the same person. The only difference is that Grimm more openly pursues Isla, and Oro's just kind of her partner. I kind of never saw Oro as a love interest for a really long time, because he's just kind of there, and he's her partner, and he's kind of hard to get along with, and you kind of get enemies to lovers vibes, but not really, because where's the lovers, you know? They're just using each other to get what they want, and you're okay, you know, by the end of this, hopefully she's good friends with Oro. Turns out it was a love triangle, and I just never knew until the very end. The entire middle of the book is so pointless and boring, you know? They just do a lot of things. Okay, so this is a good time in the middle of the book for me to criticize a few things. First of all, they describe clothing a lot in this book because they go to a lot of parties. I like parties. I really like party scenes in the books. I'm self-indulgent like that, you know? And I really, really like it. This is an unpopular opinion because a lot of people were mad about how many times Isla's clothes got described in this book. I'll say that was the highlight of my entire reading experience. Every time they described Isla's clothes, I was like, oh my god, so good. Not because the description was good, just because I just like the description of clothing. Like, Isla wears like really revealing, really cute dresses because she's like beautiful, you know, and she knows that's her power because she's a girl boss. But then, because Isla's a girl boss, she's also like having a lot of like hidden weapons. You're like, where the hell is she hiding these weapons? At some point she says like she has throwing stars disguised as like brooches. The normal size of a brooch is like that big. A throwing star, do you guys know throwing stars? Like, I recently went to a Renaissance fair and I held a throwing star. They were like this big. That's like a whole bra. That's a whole cup of a bra. Like, how are you just, maybe they're like small throwing stars, but I feel like to be effective, they'd have to be like at least this big. Yeah. Right? Like this big. So, that's a huge, like, Giganosaurus brooch. How is it even gonna, like, be on her dress? Because she wears such, like, silky materials. Like, I don't know if you've ever tried to put a brooch on, like, a piece of clothing, but it has to be, like, pretty stiff. Because the brooch is heavy. It's gonna weigh it down. But she's just wearing, like, tulle and stuff. How is it, like, being on her body? Okay, and beyond the brooches, she's like, I always keep a knife on my thigh. I am a slut for those, like, cute little thigh knife sheaths, but I feel like those are only effective for holding a pretty small knife. Like, your knife's got to be like this big and pretty light, because like your thigh like tapers, right? So like, how's it going to be stuck on your thigh for that long, especially when your dress is so like high and like kind of transparent? Like, everyone's going to see your thigh knife, right? The fabric's so thin, everyone's going to see the outline of your knife on your thigh. Okay, whatever. And beyond that, she always wears a cape, and the cape is made of chainmail. And you're like, okay, that's an uncomfortable cape. And also, like, but it's like hidden chainmail, so it looks like a normal cape, but it's like in there. It's like sewn in there. So you're just like, okay, I guess. Like, it's an uncomfortable cape, but honestly, that's the most believable part. And then there's this other part. She's falling off this cliff. Like, she was climbing this cliff, right? Because she's a girl boss. And she's climbing the cliff, and she falls off, and she's like free falling. And she's like, oh shit, she unclasped her choker. I don't know if you've ever tried to unclasp a choker, but like, girl, I can barely do it like when I'm just standing there. Like, I don't know if I could do it in free fall. So she unclasped her choker, and there's a knife like in her choker. So for reference, this is my neck, right? You know that. So this is my neck. A choker knife would have to be like at max this big. This is like the size of a small self-defense knife. I don't know if this knife would help you if you're free falling, but she like gets it out of her choker, so it's probably like this big. Unless it's like a flexible knife, is that a thing? Then maybe it could be like that big. But like, is a flexible knife gonna stop your free fall? So she plunges the knife into the wall, and she like, ooh, you know, it slows her down. You know what this looks like. But like, if the knife is this big, if it's a strong knife, then it's this big. If it's a weak, flimsy knife, then it's this big. Neither of these knives would work to stop her free fall. Okay, sorry, I just thought about that because I was like, why? Like, how? And also, how does no one notice that there's a knife in your choker? There are so many better places to keep knives. You could have said, like, it was in her belt or something. I don't know. Belts are a normal thing to wear. Beyond that, the weirdest and biggest and least believable thing that she hides is the star stick. Remember the star stick, her teleportation stick she used in the beginning? Apparently, she's constantly wearing her star stick. And let me tell you, let me stand up. Okay. Let me tell you where she's wearing her star stick. Let me squat. She's wearing her star stick, like, down her back. Like, this is weird. Like, you see that? It's just down her back in her flimsy little dress. So she's like, oh yeah, my star stick's always with me. Like, so like near the climax, she like grabs her star stick out, and I'm like, what the hell? So they never properly describe what this thing looks like, but like, I imagined it like a scepter. How long is a scepter? Like 4 feet tall, pretty thick, probably like this thick. There's probably like a big thing on the top. Okay, how are you sticking that down the back of your dress, you know? Like Wonder Woman style. You know in Wonder Woman when Gal Gadot has like the the sword down the back of her dress. That's cool for like one scene, you know? I know that thing like is falling out there like as soon as she like moves, but like it's just been in the back of her dress the entire time, I guess. And you're like, okay, that's believable. Like, can you imagine seeing this in real life? Like, this girl, she's like 5'3", really skinny. She's wearing like this low-necked, like really revealing, maybe has cutouts on the sides, high slit, like basically transparent dress, but she has the brooch, the size, like a brooch the size of a bra cup, like just like on, like here, I guess. This is where you normally put a brooch, like here. And she's got a choker with a very obvious knife in it. She's got an entire scepter just down the back of her dress. She can't even bend over because it's like stuck on her back like that. She's got like a cape. You can hear the chainmail in it. You're like, what the hell's going on? It's just, like, I am a slut for hidden weapons, but like hide them well, you know? Like maybe she did her hair up really big and she put it in her hair. I don't know. Like that'd be more believable than like all this shit. And near the end of their partnership, Isla and Oro make an agreement. Oro's like, hey, if you tell me your biggest secret, I'll make it so that you win Lightlark. And I guess if you win Lightlark, something good happens. I kind of forgot what it was because it wasn't said very well. Okay, so she's like, oh damn, I kind of want to win Lightlark. I guess she's under the impression that if she wins Lightlark, she gets all her powers back or something. I don't know, she like wants her powers really bad. So she's like, okay, slay. I'll just tell Oro my biggest secret. At this point, she really trusts him. I kind of thought she trusted him as a friend, but I guess it was wrong. So she's like, yeah, Oro, I have no powers. And Oro goes back and like tells everybody. And Isla is so betrayed. She's like crying. She's like, God, I'm a fool. And Oro's like, Isla has no powers. I want to switch partners here. Who's going to be Cleo, be my partner. So Isla's like, oh my god, that's so awful. Everyone's gonna try to kill me. She's like in a depressive state for a bit. And then like, this is the climax. Celeste is poisoned. Celeste the bestie, right? She's poisoned. And I guess it's kind of implied that she was poisoned by Azul because of some circumstantial evidence. But you're like, no, obviously not. Azul is not even a character. So Celeste is like healing somewhere. And Isla is desperately trying to find this bond breaker for her. So, and then in the climax, there's a series of plot twists, like back to back. So, first of all, Isla and Grimm are like kind of partners right now because they're like the only people who trust each other. So Isla's like, Grimm, save me, help me. And Grimm's like, okay, slay, I love you, Isla. And then he reveals, what does he reveal? Grimm reveals that he and Isla knew each other before. And not only did they know each other, they had like a secret romance. And Isla regularly teleported to his like castle or something to hang out with him and have sex with him. Grimm was like, yeah, sorry, I had to erase your memories because I needed you to seduce Oro, which you did. So slay of you, so girl boss. And Isla's like, what the hell? Why would you erase my memories like that? Like that takes away my autonomy. And Grimm's like, okay, I'm sorry, you know, I had to do it. And Isla's like, no, I hate you, right? And you're like, this is good writing. I like that Isla doesn't like Grimm anymore when he did that, because that was bad. I'm sorry, my standards are so low. Okay, so, and then, other plot twist, Celeste is not Celeste after all. Celeste is actually, like, this, like, older, immortal lady who was important to the original story of the creation of Lightlark, which I don't care about. So, she's like, haha, you played right into my hands, Isla. Now I shall take all the powers and be all powerful. So she has the bond breaker. And turns out the bond breaker isn't a bond breaker. It's the bond maker. Sorry, that's funny. So she takes the bond maker and she stabs Isla and herself with it. And then she gets Isla's powers. And turns out Isla has had powers this whole time. She gets the wildling powers. She gets the nightshade powers. And turns out the reason Isla has these powers is because her parents were a nightshade and a wildling. So the nightshade ability, like, cloaked the wildling ability. So I guess she just had powers this whole time and she didn't know. So she gets, like, Celeste gets the nightshade and the wildling, but she also gets, like, Oro's powers for some reason, because Isla loves Oro, question mark? So when you love someone in the Lightlark universe, you get their powers. Yeah. No, when someone loves you, you get their powers? Yeah, I think when someone loves you, you get their powers. This is so weird. Okay, so Oro and Grim are here too. They're like on the ground. They've been incapacitated. Their powers have been drained. They're like really weak. And Isla's like, okay, this is not good. But also slight, because this makes no difference to me. It doesn't matter to me that she sucked on my powers because I haven't had powers this whole time. This is a good writing move. I like this. So Isla goes up and she stabs her with a knife, but then Celeste reveals that she planted that knife. That knife can't hurt her. She put an enchantment on it, so it couldn't hurt her. So Isla's like, oh shit. She reaches for her star stick that she's always had down her back. Sorry, that's stupid. And she teleports back into it like her childhood bedroom. Her two caretakers, who she talks a lot about during the book, Tara and Poppy, turns out they actually killed her parents to conceal her heritage. And Isla's like, okay, what the hell? That was bad. We'll talk about this later. Here, let me get my swords. She teleports back to fight Celeste to free Grim and Oro. And she fights her off, she kills her, whatever the hell. Celeste isn't actually Celeste. She's like Aurora. And she's like, what a great betrayal. Honestly, I did not feel betrayed by this betrayal. I know that sounds stupid, but like, I feel like the friendship between Isla and Celeste was never developed enough for me to actually care about their friendship. So I wasn't like, oh my god, how could Celeste do this? I was just like, okay. So she kills Celeste. She's like, oh. So yay, they did it. They killed one ruler. That was all they had to do, you know? I guess, is all Starling gonna die? I don't remember. And honestly, we never really meet any of the citizens of any of the realms, you know? All we know are the rulers. So we don't know anything about the citizen perspective, like, oh, we're okay with... And then they later reveal that Azul was gonna sacrifice himself and like all his people because it's a democracy. It's democratic. So they're like, everyone in the Skyling realm voted that they would sacrifice themselves for the entire rest of Lightlark. Can you imagine? Like, what country in the world would willingly vote to sacrifice every person who lives in that country for the sake of the rest of the world? Not a single country, okay? So, and not even like to like save the rest of the world, just so that the rest of the world isn't inconvenienced by their curses. And Skyling should care the least about this, okay? Skyling has the, like, best curse, like, the least impactful curse. They're fine. I don't even know why Skyling's here. So, turns out Skyling was willing to do all that. So you're like, I wish I saw, like, a citizen of the realm's perspective to see how everyone else felt about this, how, like, oh my god, we could maybe all die, you know? Like, I didn't even know if Starling all dies, and honestly, if they did, I wouldn't give a shit. We don't meet, like, any Starling people. The only other Starling person we meet besides Celeste is, Isla's maid, Ella, who gets, like, 2 speaking lines. So you're like, okay, I really don't care. Conclusion. Isla, who does Isla pick in the love triangle? She chooses Oro because Grim did a bad thing. So, but like, it's stupid because I never thought she had a real connection with Oro. I just thought they were like partners in crime, and I was like, okay. I never even thought they were good friends. You know what that means? I just thought they had a good working relationship, which isn't what you want your reader to think when you're trying to build a cute romance. They never even kiss. They don't kiss until like the very end. I didn't even know if they kiss in the very end. And the conclusion, she's like standing around, she's like, Grim is plotting something in Nightshade. And she's just sitting in the castle, and Oro's like, come over, babe. I don't even know if she kissed. How are they in love? They're not in love. Like, I don't know. So, yeah. That was underwhelming. And let me tell you something, okay? Every book I've made a rant review on, I have enjoyed reading. Like, I made like that 40-minute rant review about Chain of Gold. And basically, like, 95% of the time I was talking about negative things. But Chain of Gold was enjoyable to read. If you look at my Goodreads profile, I don't know if it's even linked anywhere. Anyway, I don't know if you can even find my Goodreads profile. But I gave Chain of Gold, like, 4 stars. And you're like, how could you do that? Like, how could you have so many negative things to say about a book and still give it such a high rating? Because it was enjoyable. A lot of YA books are poor quality, but I enjoy reading them, and I have to give them credit, you know? Like Cassandra Clare, she's not like a particularly amazing writer, you know? Like she she's in changing literature. But it's really fun to read. She writes really good romance. She writes really sexy makeout scenes. It's a good time. You know, I have a good time with them. But at the very least, I thought that Lightlark would be a good time. I was like, ooh, maybe there'll be like a nice sex scene in here. Maybe there'll be really cute romance. There wasn't. I had to force myself to read this shitty book. Like, I was like dragging my feet through the entire thing. This book, I just recently turned it back into the library, but I had to take it like 10 days overdue because I just couldn't make myself finish it. I had to finish it in my physics class because I'd rather read than listen in physics. But like, it's I don't know, like, I feel like, why wasn't it more self-indulgent? And I know that that's weird because you're like, if there's anything from this review, you would think that, like, I don't like how self-indulgent it is. But I don't like the ways in which it was self-indulgent. I wish it let us have more time with Isla and her thought process, and like maybe learn to love her as a character, which I feel like I never did. I never really cared about Isla. She always seemed like a really tropey, cliche, like strong female character, you know? Like, there's nothing bad about her. There's nothing particularly amazing about her. She's just the main character, you know? I never really cared about Isla. Or either of the love interests, you know? You don't... I said Grimm was like the bad boy. He's not really... He's just like, he's the dark-haired love interest, you know? He's the dark-haired love interest. What else can I say? He openly pursues Isla. He's like vaguely funny. He calls her Heart Eater all the time, and you're like, It's like supposed to be like cutesy, but you're like, why? Like, he never uses her real name, which I guess was foreshadowing to like that she wouldn't pick Grimm in the end, which I think is good. I don't know. But the way that Grimm and Isla's interactions were so much more romantic than Isla and Oro's interactions. Like, they have a scene during, like, a ball where Isla and Grimm are, like, kissing, I think. I don't know. They're, like, touching each other. They're kissing. It's, like, one of the best scenes in the book because I wasn't bored out of my mind. I was like, ooh, sexy scene. I love that. But, so I was shipping them because who else am I supposed to ship Isla with? I didn't see Oro as a valid love interest until they revealed at the end that Oro has loved Isla this entire time, or whatever the hell. Which, like, he has? Like, Oro saves Isla's life a lot, but, like, I just kind of thought it's because he needed her and that they had a good working relationship. They're like co-workers, you know? They're like co-workers who kind of like each other. Like, they were barely friends, you know? I don't know how to explain this to you. They had a good working relationship. He picks her up and bridal carries her a lot because Oro can fly because he has all the powers of all the other realms. Did I tell you that? I don't know. It doesn't matter. Anyway, so Oro can fly, so he picks Isla up and carries her around a lot to, like, fly her places. And it's supposed to be, like, cute. She's like, I tucked my head in the crook of his elbow. Like, in the crook of his... I tucked my head in the crook of his shoulder or whatever, and I'm like, I don't care. Like, I was just like, oh, that's nice, you know? Like, there's nothing super romantic about it. I felt like they didn't have that much chemistry. There's even a scene where they, like, completely strip in front of each other, and even then I didn't think it was that romantic. Like, she was like, wow, he's built. She wasn't like, wow, I'm super attracted to that. Like, she was just like, he's jacked, and I'm like, okay, we knew that, right? Like, I know, I just never saw them as love interests, and we never got anything spicy from it, and I just wish that there was something interesting in this book to have made my reading of it worthwhile. And I guess this video is what I got out of this book, so that's great. In conclusion, because I've probably been talking for a really long time now, in conclusion, I think what this book needed was a better editor, because there are a lot of scenes. This isn't conclusion. I'm not done talking. I'm gonna be up here now because I'm squatting. Okay, because I feel like there are a lot of scenes in this book that just felt like super unnecessary. Oh my god, like when they're like swimming and they see the mermaid, I'm like, what does that even mean? Like, what the hell was that? Like, first of all, like probably like 50% of the time they're looking for the heart and like doesn't matter, you know? Like, it doesn't add anything to the story. They're looking for the heart, they haven't found it yet. Okay. And then there are even more obvious unnecessary scenes. Near the end of the book, before the climax, Isla, like, leaves her room in the castle. And she has, like, this really weird, like, out-of-place sentimental moment where she looks back at her room and she's like, this is the last time I'm gonna see my room in the castle. So many memories here. And I'm like, what the hell are you doing? Like, get out of there. Like, it doesn't matter. We have no connection to her room. We don't even know what it looks like. We don't know what's in her room. We don't know, like, I don't give a single shit about her room. There's nothing in there that I care about. So, like, why were we having that moment? I don't know. So I feel like if the book just had, like, a better editor, maybe we could have taken out a lot of, like, these unnecessary scenes. Maybe things could have been written better, you know? Like, there are some weird writing choices in this, but that's, like, the least of this book's problems. So, maybe a better editor could have made it, like, a bit more enjoyable to read. But I feel like even with a better editor, at max, I could have rated this 3 stars, you know? Like, at max, it would have been, like, an average YA book. Like, I feel like it wouldn't have, I don't know. Even the premise is really basic. Like, oh, people with powers. It's like a mix of Divergent and, like, My Little Pony. That sounds awful. You know? Like, oh, people have powers, and all these powerful people have to be together and do things. And I'm like, okay, you know what? The premise doesn't suck, but it's not anything revolutionary, and I don't think it saves this book, you know? Like, there are just too many cheesy elements in it, like, oh, Isla's hot, everyone's attractive, everyone's so attractive, Isla sings really well. There's, like, this scene, oh my god, there's this scene where Oro's, like, in a lot of pain because he's dying, right? So he's, like, lying on the ground, he's like, and Isla's like, oh my god, what can I do? What can I do to help you? And he's like, sing. And Isla just starts singing some shit, and she sings for a hot second. She sings for so long, and she's like an amazing singer. It's like ringing out over the mountains. Like, what was that? Why was that there? Like, even then I didn't feel the romance. Like, I don't know, just the way it was written, I didn't see it as romantic. I just saw it as cheesy and weird, you know? Like, why does this man want to hear her sing? Like, that's freaking stupid. Okay. So, yeah. It's just, like, too cheesy for me to really enjoy it. Like, I like myself a bit of cheese, but I like angst. I like angst, I like originality, I like morally gray characters, you know? I like enjoyable writing. I don't know what to tell you. This just wasn't it. The way I had to force myself through this mediocre book, it was rough, okay? This is the worst book I've read in a really long time. But, I did read this book thinking that I wouldn't really like it, you know? Like, I never really pick up a book that I think I won't like, obviously. But I picked this up because I was like, oh, it's popular. I read the premise, I was like, this seems too cheesy for me, whatever. I still read it. I put myself in this situation, okay? So, it's not really Alex Aster's fault. This isn't to be mean to her. I'm just trying to have a good time here. I'm trying to make my reading experience worth something. So, yeah, slay. I think Alex Aster is a girl boss, but I don't like this book. Should you read this book? If you got all the way to the end of this video, no. I basically summarized everything important that happened in this book. If it sounded fun to you, go read it. I don't want to stop you or anything, but this isn't a good book. So this is all in good fun. I love you, Alex Aster. I think you should keep writing. And I know everyone's like, you just ranted for like freaking half hour, it's probably longer than a half hour, about how much you don't like this book. Why would you want her to keep writing? Because that's none of my business, okay? I'm just a freaking hater. Like, you know what I mean? Like, she's producing, she's doing what she loves. And on the front of this book, or like maybe in acknowledgements, somewhere I read this, Alex Aster writes that, like, this is the book she'd always wanted to read. And if it really is, I'm really happy for you. Like, it's my dream to publish a book, and I feel like I'd be super hypocritical if I was hating on someone who published the book of their dreams, you know? So, this book wasn't for me, and that's okay. It might not be for you, and that's also okay. but it's for Alex Aster, and I think that's totally fine. So yeah, that's my Lightlark review. Cool. Thanks for coming. You like how I did my makeup? It's like a, sorry, there's like a lamp right here because I'm trying to get the lighting because it's like midnight. Slay. If you're still watching, thank you so much for watching to the end. I really appreciate you and I love you. Subscribe, like, leave a comment, leave a hate comment if you want. I don't give a shit. Cool. Thanks for watching. Come back next time. Subscribe to the channel for more of this content. But I'm gonna be more positive next video, guys. So don't be stressed. Okay. Cool. Bye. Thanks for watching. I love you.